Today's episode is sponsored by Zola, the platform built with wedding pros for wedding pros. Zola believes in a better way to get in front of couples. Stay tuned to find out how they make it a reality. Hey, it's Andy with The Wedding Biz. Well, some weeks ago, I talked about shaking things up and challenging myself. So I went to my first comedy class, which culminates in performing a 5-minute stand-up routine, comedy routine, in front of what I thought was just going to be friends and family. And they announced at the class that it's actually open to the public, and each of our names are going to be listed on their website. That took me by surprise. And mind you, I have never done a stand-up routine before. I mean, I've given dozens of presentations at event industry conferences. I've performed as a musician and been the MC for well over 1,000 weddings and other events, but this is definitely different. I feel so exposed, so vulnerable. And in that first stand-up comedy class, each of us had to get up on stage, this was not expected, and do whatever we had prepared for thus far. And thank God I recorded it with my iPhone. And here's the interesting thing. I thought that I sucked. I mean, in the moment, I couldn't remember much of what I had already planned, and I felt that I just looked and sounded like a complete idiot and felt terrible for a while. And when I got home, I watched the video of myself, and it really wasn't bad. You know, it's just so interesting how I beat myself up so much in the moment, and I'm still anxious about it, though I have a bit more confidence now, and I just need to finish writing it and then practice it over and over and over. And hey, how about feeling excited about it? You know, it's interesting. The feeling of anxiety is so similar to the feeling of excitement. And so I think we can reframe it, you know, when we're feeling anxious or nervous about something, that we're actually maybe feeling excited. I tell you what, life is a never-ending opportunity for learning. That's such a huge part of what keeps me going. Anyway, if you missed my last week interview, it was a revisit of my first interview of planner-designer Debbie Geller out of Los Angeles. Well worth listening to. Today's guest, I'm so excited, is a new conversation with someone who's been on the show several times, and that's Cindy Novotny, the founder of Master Connection Associates, an internationally renowned leader in sales, leadership, and customer service. Cindy's been recognized by the Association of Talent Development as one of 9 most powerful and innovative speakers. The Hospitality Sales and Marketing Association International recognized Cindy as one of the top 25 most extraordinary minds in sales and marketing. She also authored the book, Living with No Balance and Loving It. Enjoy this new conversation with Cindy Novotny. Hey, Cindy, it's so good to have you back on again. It's been a long time.
I know, and I'm thrilled to be back.
Yeah, this is going to be fun. And, you know, the main thing I'm going to want to talk about is iconic luxury. But before we get into it, I've got to ask, you know, I follow you on Instagram, and recently, I saw you say something that I love. You said, always go with the choice that scares you most, because that's how you grow. Do you scare yourself even?
Oh,
Or are you way past that? Oh, seriously?
No, every day. I would say that I am pushed out of my comfort zone pretty much every single week. My team, I have a huge team, and I have account managers that book me into events and speeches and classes that are out of my wheelhouse. And so I have to learn, I have to study, and I'm scared all the time. And that's okay, because I come out of it going, wow, just something else I now know.
God, that's interesting that with the thousands and thousands of talks you've given and everything, that you still feel that way. Maybe it just never really goes away.
Well, I think people that say they don't get nervous or afraid are lousy speakers, lousy business people, lousy trainers, because they just are so full of themselves and cocky that they just are like, hey, I got this. And then it begins to become so rote. Like they just do it over and over, and then they put no passion into it. And that's why I think that if you talk to any comedian or any entertainer, they always have the jitters before they enter that stage. Whether they are playing Broadway every day for 3 years, they have a little bit of that in their tummy, little rumbling, and that makes them give 150%. I think when you just kind of walk out like, hey, here I am again, I just do this, I think people can tell that you really aren't giving it 150%.
You know, I got to tell you something I did. I mean, I like to challenge myself as well. I mean, I enjoy it. I like it. And this is crazy. You mentioned comedian a moment ago. So I signed up for a comedy class where the graduation is that we have the students, as we're called, I guess, have to give a 5-minute stand-up comedy performance in front of at a comedy club, and I've never done, and I've spoken thousands of times myself, but this scares the shit out of me.
I think that would be really hard because people think I'm so funny, and yet my funny is very organic and natural.
Right.
I don't have a script of funny. I can't even tell a joke at a party. So
Neither do I.
think, yeah, I do think that would be hard to stand up. But, I have had to do dinner parties where I'm kind of emceeing things
Right.
like that.
Right.
And I can't just get up and give a keynote on a learning lesson. So I kind of done it, but not to that point.
Yeah, well, I put myself out there. So so anyway, well, let's get into this whole topic of iconic luxury. So basically, to you, what is the heart of it? I mean, we're going to get into some elements of it, but what is the heart of what iconic luxury in the weddings and event industry? What is it about, in your opinion?
I truly believe, and I think that what I do, not just in weddings and events and hospitality, but in even luxury retail, I think that we've lost sense. And it really started during COVID, where you see the lines, to get into a Louis store or a Gucci store. You got to wait in line. And it all started because of COVID, because they didn't want that many people in the store, remember? Right. Now what I think has happened is it's gone fast forward to a point where everybody wants to talk to somebody. I don't want to walk into a Tiffany's and have them say, let me get someone to show you around. No, I just want to wander around and see what I want. So to parlay that into the weddings and events industry, I think what happened is we got so busy after COVID that people started putting in all these, inquiry sheets online, fill this out first. Then, I'll send you my calendar, the calendary. And I know a lot of people love that. I find it to be a little bit, I don't know, kind of condescending, like, oh, here's my calendar. I know you can fill it in when you want, but I actually want you to kind of talk to me. And I want to have an initial talk with you before I even decide if I want to go farther. And I think the iconic luxury that we are looking at with people that have money to spend. And by the way, this is not all just the billionaires, millionaires. These are that, aspirational person that does have a lot of money, saved up money. They want to spend, they want to have a great time, but they want to talk to somebody. It's like you wouldn't go to your doctor and I never did any of the telemedicine during COVID. I don't want to just fill out a form and go see my doctor and have my doctor over a screen telling me what's wrong. And I think that's where we've lost a little bit of our game. First of all, it's not even just luxury. So mark my word, it's any service, any sales, but people to people. Like, let's get back to what this was meant to be.
Right. I totally agree with that. I understand. Well, then what are some of the key elements to creating this luxury experience? How do you handle it then if it's not the way you just described?
So first and foremost, someone's got to answer your phone. Yes, you do get a lot of online emails, requests. Get it? I get it. So do we. And we respond immediately to those. We never give pricing online. Everything we do is very customized, bespoke, individually done for each client. So what happens is some of these organizations, whether they're planners or hotels or venues or anybody doing, rentals, they're just responding and sending out kind of an overview of pricing. Well, you don't know anything about that client, and it shows you don't actually care much about that client. Now, people argue with me on this all day long, and they can keep arguing with me, and I'll just decide who wins, okay? Because I send an email. Our team sends an email. Thanks so much, Andy, for reaching out. Thrilled you thought of us. What is a good time today or tomorrow for us to connect? We get an immediate response.
I love that. Yeah.
Immediate response.
Yeah.
And it's always to talk. It's never just send me info. Now, if you're looking at big hotels with corporate kind of RFPs, they may just say, give me your availability over those dates. But then they're going to get quoted a high price. They're going to get quoted what we say in the hotel industry, a rack rate. This is it. This is the highest it goes. So if I don't know your spend, if I don't know anything about you, if I don't know about future potential, if I don't know how detailed you want to get, I'm just rattling off like pricing, like you go on Amazon and click the basket. And this is where you got to back up and say, look, I position myself as someone that is in the luxury wedding and event industry. Why would I not have someone talk to you? And then I hear, the next thing, well, I mean, I'm too busy and I have like myself and a producer on the team and a designer. I go, well, then hire a bloody receptionist or assistant or virtual assistant who answers these calls. I mean, come on.
That's an interesting point because, I've been around for a while, I know we've both been in the industry for a while and just in life. And there's a huge difference. I'm so tired of the constant, recordings and not being able to just get someone on the phone right away. And so, and now with AI and everything else and the bots, it
Which scares the
doesn't
crap
feel
out of
good.
me.
Yeah, that's a whole nother conversation. I know.
And by the way, just get ready to be replaced by technology. So, when an AI, when you've got someone that can actually write copy and write a paper and write a proposal for you and write a jingle and do all that in about 10 minutes with virtual,
less,
5 minutes, right? Then guess what, my friends? The only thing you're going to have is people with people. Okay.
That's going to be even more valuable. That's a really good point. And also, look, both of us know Colin Cowie. We see him at Engage and all these other places. And Colin's been on the show a lot. I learned from him that actually the experience starts immediately. It's not the event. It's the experience with whoever you're dealing with, the photographer, the caterer, the designer, the planner. I mean, so I love what you're talking about right from the start. There's someone on the phone, and that is the start of the experience for the client, really.
Oh, absolutely. And I've worked with Colin on many projects, with client service, training and things with some of his clients and some of ours. And he and I agree completely on this, that it's not just the event. It is the entire experience. It's just like you walk into a hotel or to a venue. It's what you see, what you smell, what you feel, what you taste. It's everything. So the same thing applies in your business. Who answers the phone? How excited are they? We do a lot of mystery shops for a lot of industry, people in the social industry, not just hotels and venues, but planners, things like that. And when I talk to somebody, whether they're a rental company, catering company, venue, and I literally call and say, hey, I want to talk to somebody about, doing my daughter's, 30th birthday party. And literally this is what I hear. And the date and how many people, that's not luxury, my friends.
Yeah. That's interesting.
It's got to be connect. Well, first of all, your name and wow. And what's your daughter's name and how exciting, and tell me a little bit about her. And this is so great. Then I'll get to the date, because by the way, you're never supposed to be sold out even when you're sold out. Because if I get you so excited, you'll move the date for me.
Yeah.
And that's the point. That's luxury. If you really want it, if you call the best plastic surgeon in Beverly Hills and you only want that plastic surgeon, you are not going to get in on the date that is open on your calendar. You're going to have to work with them on theirs.
Doesn't luxury, though, mean different things to different people? I mean, although you're talking about the foundation of it, right? Generally speaking, how to approach them. But how do you figure that out? It means different things to different people.
Well, first of all, luxury means something if you're staying at a Hilton Garden Inn. I love Hilton Garden Inns. And you could say, well, that's not luxury. That's a select service hotel versus staying at a Ritz-Carlton or Four Seasons. Well, guess what? I can have and I have had incredible experiences at a Hilton Garden Inn where they have the little pantry and you go down, you get your popcorn, you pop it right there. In the morning, you make your own little waffles. And I love that little waffle machine. Who doesn't love a little waffle machine? And you have a very luxurious experience for that price point.
Right.
Because one of the things we're seeing right now is that people, any planner, any meeting planner, luxury wedding planner, anybody that is planning events is saying that, and this is like over 70%, and I've got all the stats on that, but over 70% of people are saying we are seeing less value in luxury experiences. Now, this is retail, this is hotels, this is weddings, this is everything in luxury, okay? Restaurants, we are seeing less value than we saw before COVID. And there's some reasons for that. And this answers your question about luxury means different things to different people. I hate being at the airport, truly going into the restaurant where there is the bar. Let's say I'm at Newark and there's all the bars and everything set up and all the restaurants, and I have to use that stupid iPad when a bartender is standing right there looking at me. That is not luxury.
I don't like
and
that
yet
either.
I'm paying $20 for that cocktail.
That's true.
I want to
so
talk to you, and I want you to shake that bloody martini in front of me, and I don't want to put that thing in there, okay? And I never do it. I say, I'm not going to do it. You can turn this thing around to yourself. I want to order a cocktail from you.
Yeah, and then we're expected to give a healthy gratuity. Yeah,
right. And so luxury means different things to different people. But if you think about it, luxury is very basic in the reality. Luxury is caring about people, good service, providing more than you're paying for. Definitely coming back and putting the cherry on the sundae, going that little extra step, showing people that whether you're paying $10 for a cocktail or $30 for a cocktail, I'm making the best cocktail, whether I'm making it at a family little restaurant or I'm making it at a Michelin star restaurant. It doesn't matter. Luxury is all about the experience and service.
Zola initially revolutionized registries and wedding websites, but did you know that they're now changing the game for wedding pros too? That's because Zola is a different kind of platform, one built for how you work today. Create free listings tailored to your services that make your business look great, and there's no subscription required. Connecting with couples has never been easier. Zola vets all leads to bring you real couples who are a great fit for you in terms of your fee, your expertise, and your style. So gain control and grow your business with transparent, pay-to-connect pricing. Create your free listing and get your first few connections for free at zola.com/Andy. That's ZOLA.com/Andy. Somewhere I read that you said, and so I might be paraphrasing this, for people wanting to deliver a unique experience, we have to reposition our ability to engage, communicate, and offer better experiences for our guests that are willing to pay more for something they may not have known they wanted. That's interesting. Can you say more about that?
So what that means is that, like upselling. Some people get nervous when we do upselling training, whether it's getting you to upsell better cocktails or better food or suites in hotels, because it's like, oh, I don't want to be pushy. I don't like being a salesperson. Well, the way I look at that is that every single customer wants something and you don't know what they want unless you engage in conversation. So if somebody walks up, and I have a restaurant, as you know, but if somebody walks up to the bar and the bartender walks over and just lays the napkin down, which is standard SOP, and says, what can I get you? And the person says, yeah, I don't really know what I want this time. That is an upsell opportunity. All right. Because even if they don't drink alcohol, I can take them to a mocktail that is way more expensive than if I just get you a Diet Coke. You see? So the idea is how you engage. A lot of people just go, okay, when you make up your mind, let me know. Here's the cocktail menu that's on an iPad again. Okay. Instead of a classy leather little book that you can look at, because I drink the same stuff all the time, but some people love to look at all the different kind of fun, craft cocktails. So you have to engage and understand what are they looking for at this experience. I'll use stylists that I work with that are expensive stylists that are charging a lot of money to do hair. And when we train them, all right, in these salons, one of the things we say, if you already have my color mixed when I walk in for my regular every 6-week color, I'm getting a new stylist, because that shows you don't care about where I am in my life right now. You don't care about the experience I want. I may walk in and go, you know what? I've had it with this. I want to go red. I got a real red feeling going on. Let's talk to me, because think about, and this is different for you, I'm sure, because you're not really doing that, but other people listening are. So when you go in to see the stylist that you always see, and they're having this engaging conversation with a customer about what they can do to their hair and how to cut it, because they're doing a consultation. And then as soon as they're done with that, they call you over and immediately just do what they've done for the last 3 years, slap on the color, trim your bangs, and you're out. That is not experience.
Yeah, it's interesting you bring that up. I just got my haircut yesterday, and I drive a pretty far distance to get my haircut. It's kind of ridiculous. I could just find someone in my neighborhood, but I go because of the experience. I really like how this guy talks to me and we have great conversation. And that's interesting. Even though I'm a guy and I don't have much complicated issues with hair, he still says at the beginning, as opposed to just jump in and do the usual, he always checks in with me and says, so how you feeling today about it? You want to do anything different? You want to keep the same? I like that. It feels good.
Yeah. Look at those places that guys go to that they serve you some whiskey and they shave, that close shave, whatever it is, and wrap yourself in a hot towel. People love this and they pay twice as much. Right.
That's a good point. So, earlier we were talking about pre-pandemic versus post-pandemic, in terms of the luxury traveler, and you travel a lot. And there's destination weddings are bigger than ever. It's come back with a vengeance. What would you say about the luxury traveler and how they view luxury?
As an example, somebody that's flying first class, somebody that is going international, somebody that is staying at, whether they're doing a destination wedding, going on holiday, whatever it might be, they don't want to work hard for this. They don't want to go through a lot of pressure. Okay. They don't want to check themselves in and bag tag their own bag. All right. They want to walk up. They want to go into a private area like United has for global service and things like that. Like I get to go into, and they greet you and they know you by name because they've got their list of the 7 global service people that are flying out of Newark or LAX today. And you walk in and they've got your picture and they call you by name, and you walk in there and they tag your bag, and then you go up to the lounge and they've already called the lounge saying you're coming. They call you by name. They don't make you work hard. All right. This is, and then you get to the airport, to your destination, and the driver is already there. The driver knows where you're going. You get to the hotel, they know. It's all about the seamless service throughout that entire journey. And what happened is that because of COVID, and I traveled throughout all of COVID. So there were times there were 10 of us on a huge, United jet flying somewhere because not everybody was traveling. We still were, because we were working in hotels that were still open and things like that. And you didn't expect, you were wearing a mask. They didn't have any service. So you brought, a bite before the flight. There was nothing. They weren't doing service like that. And you packed your own PB&J sandwich and ate it. It was kind of like fun for a minute and a half. And then, you just kind of went with the flow, right? Well, the moment COVID was over, people came back with a vengeance. Like, I'm done. Like, I was in hotels making my own bed for the whole year, like through 2020 into 2021, not having any room service, not having all the restaurants open, wearing the mask, all the things that drove people crazy. So when it ended, people were like, not dealing. I just want this to be so much better than it even was before. And that's where we lost staff. A lot of people are doing more with less, and service levels. That's why I said they're seeing less value than they did before COVID. And that's what we have to make sure we are not doing. We have to keep, I'm not kidding. If I don't have the team to do it, then I've got to do it. And as a leader, you got to figure that out.
Yeah. Well, and set the example and set the tone. Absolutely. Also, I've heard you refer to the term social selling. What do you mean by that?
Social selling, well, that to me is about social media. But you sell a lot on social media. And I'm not talking about product where you click and buy, you actually are monetizing Instagram, things like that. I'm talking about in our world of weddings and events, hotels, restaurants, food and beverage, retail. There's a lot of salespeople and young salespeople that their social media sucks. And they don't have anything relevant to their business. They don't talk about luxury. They're not showing things. They're not giving trends. They're not giving insights. They're not sharing, here's kind of, not just the Pantone color of the year, but here's like really some cool different flowers that you can do that are less maybe expensive if you want to spend more money on food and beverage, like giving insights and showing how to do things differently. And I think what's happened is it's either their social media is very personal, which fine and dandy, and they don't want to blend work, then set up a separate Instagram, Facebook, whatever. Or they go on rants. Okay. Some of them are on political rants, religious rants, diversity, equity, inclusion, all these rants. Like, it doesn't belong. That doesn't belong. If you want to rant, set up your own rant Instagram, your own rant, Twitter, Facebook. Make sure everything you're putting out there is positive. Like, somebody would want to connect with you and DM and say, hey, I saw a lot of, your feed on Instagram. I think what you do is great. I'd love to talk to you about an event I'm planning. Like, that's what social selling is. We didn't have that. Even think about it. Even 10 years ago, 15 years ago, we all were on it, but it wasn't being used as much as it is now. And I think that's where and I find it with younger ones, it's amazing to me because I think they've just been so used to communicating and saying whatever rolls off their tongue, and they think they can say whatever they want to say, do whatever they want to do. And I'm sorry, but I grew up with manners, and I grew up with class, and I grew up with, you're not supposed to do that, by the way. Whatever you say on there could make or break you.
Well, and also stay with your brand. I think everything, I agree with you to separate it out and stay with the brand, with your brand message.
Right. Not that hard. Not that hard. And if you work for somebody, all you do is share what they're putting on, because we all know that people buy from people. So if I am a planner working for a big name planner, but I'm still doing some of the smaller stuff, I've got to share what we're doing in our company, right? And I've got to share it on mine, it's not just on the company site, but I'm doing it Cindy Novotny, and it's seeing all the weddings and all the events that we're doing. It might be my big planner that I work with, that's a celebrity planner or not even, but I'm sharing, this is what our company did.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Cindy, before we go, is there anything else, in terms of the topic of coming back to iconic luxury, that you'd like to say before we go that I missed?
Well, I think that one of the things that everyone in this industry has to remember is luxury does not mean that you are obnoxious, you're conceited, your nose is in the air. You have to be very humble, and you have to be very much about, I work for you. Okay, I work for you. Doesn't matter how much money they're spending on you to do the job, I still work for you. And there's a customer behind every customer. And when you're a prima donna, when you're like too busy, when you're this, when you're that, you start to lose sight of what you really got you in this business. Because I truly believe that to look forward to where you're going, don't forget from where you came from.
Well, gosh, this has been wonderful as usual. So thank you, Cindy. I always want to check in with you, and at least every year or something like that. So, I just appreciate this opportunity. So thanks for taking the time.
Absolutely, Andy. Anytime. Thanks so much.
Thank you for listening to my conversation with Cindy Novotny. If you enjoyed this episode, please tell some friends about it. And be sure to check out her website, which is masterconnection.com. You can find her on Instagram at Cindy_Novotny. And I want to thank our sponsor, Zola. Remember to go to zola.com/Andy to create your free listing and get your first few connections for free. And next week's conversation is a new one with the super popular planner and designer, Lynn Easton. So be sure to check in next week. And also subscribe to The Wedding Biz, particularly on Instagram. And we'll catch you next week.